guys, it's Melanie from She's Stitchin', and I'm here with our Just Another Crochet Along to bring the next stitch. It is going to be our star stitch, and this is what our final product will look like. It's a really fun stitch that I've been looking for an excuse to use in a really long time. I think it would be great for scrubbies, and I'll show you some examples of some stuff later. So I'm using my Caron 1 pound. It is 4 weight. I believe this is the sage color. And then in order to maintain the gauge for our crochet along, I'm going to advise you to use your 5.5 hook. And it's going to be the biggest hook that we've used so far. But go ahead and grab your 5.5 hook. And if you want to get started while I'm chatting about some different yarn choices, what you're going to do is to replicate this stitch, what you're going to want to have is multiples of 2 plus 1. So for our crochet along, we're going to do 30 plus 1. So go ahead and do a chain of 31, and then you're going to skip 1 stitch and single crochet all the way across. So row 1 of our pattern is just a row of 30 single crochets. So if you want to jump ahead and do that while I'm chatting, please feel free. This little sample is an Easter egg that I will be making hopefully in my next video, because Easter's coming and we're still in quarantine and I can't go buy Easter eggs, so I'm going to make some for my sons. Please subscribe so you can see that video and all of the other videos from the crochet along and anything else that I'm working on. So I just wanted to, to bring you some different variegated examples. So this first example is a really old yarn, and I'm sorry I don't know what it is because it was gifted to me as part of a stash. So you can see this yarn normally has a repetition or a change of color every 6 to 8 stitches. So that kind of gives you an idea. I think that this stitch is just beautiful in white. I really like it in variegated also. So I worked up a few different samples so you can see what that looks like. This is a a Lion Brand example. That is actually my mother-in-law's yarn that she gifted to me because she can't crochet anymore. But this yarn replicates or changes color every 2 single crochets, so that's kind of an idea of what it will look like if you're doing that. And I love these stars that change color like that. I really like them. So it's a fun way of doing it. And then what else have we got? Oh, and then I have my cotton sample. So all of these have been acrylic so far, but this is the cotton sample if you want to know what it looks like in cotton. This is another, it's a sugar and cream variegated, and you can see here it changes color about every 6 stitches, but it is, you know, monochromatic. So that was a really pretty look. And then the last look I wanted to show you guys was in twine. You can see the difference in the stars, but I think I want to try making this into a basket if I can figure out how to use this twine without it hurting my hand. This kind of hurts my hand. Or if I can find some twine that doesn't hurt, that's my plan. So those are just some of the different color swatches if you want to try it with variegated yarn. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So like I said before, you have the chain of 31 and then a row of 30 single crochets. So I will join you at the end of row 1 with a row of 30 single crochets. Okay, so here we have row 1 in completion. This is in a cotton thread, so my gauge is going to be a little bit different. So we've got our row of 30 single crochet, and then what we're going to do is chain 2 and turn. Now this is going to be the difficult row of our pattern, so don't worry too much, but we will make it through. So the first star is going to be the hardest one to do, and we're going to call this our turning star. So what we're going to do to start out, as you can see here, we're going to skip 1 chain, and then we have our second chain. And on the second chain, we're going to end up using this yarn as 1 loop, which would be normally the back loop. And then we're going to also use the front loop separately. Sorry, my 4-year-old's watching close by here with my cat. So what you're going to do is put your yarn just through 1 loop of that chain. And you can see it's off on top of that single crochet. Billy, stand still, baby. All right, so you're going to yarn and pull through. So now you have 2 loops on here. And then you're going to see this, what would be the front loop of the chain. We're going to go there and make sure you don't go from the middle out. because that's going to make our edges a little bit weird. So you're going to want to hook in and go from the outside in, just to make sure that we don't make that chain turn awkwardly. All right, then yarn over and pull through. And then you can see we have 3 loops on. And then you're going to go into the base of the first stitch and yarn over and pull through. So then we have 4 loops on. And then we're going to pull through the next 2 single crochets. We're going to pull 1 yarn through each of those. So we pull through 1 and we have 5 loops. And we're going to pull through the next one and we will have 6 loops. And then we're going to pull through all 6 in one roll, one nice pull. You can see it makes a nice height there. And then we're going to chain 1. So that is our turning star. And now I'm going to take a second just to teach you the anatomy of the stars. So first of all, we're going to have the eye of the star, which is created here by the chain space. So that's really important for us to use throughout this pattern. And then we have the different legs. So we're going to be crocheting into this leg here. And then we have the base, which is the last space that we crocheted into. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put through that chain space, yarn over, pull through. So we have 2. And then we're going to go to that leg that I was showing you and go through 1 piece of yarn only, pull through, and then we have 3 loops. Then we're going to go through the base of the stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then we'll have 4. All right, and then we're going to do our 2 stitches next, just like the turning star was. So 1 pull over, and we have 5 loops, 1 pull over, and then we have 6 loops. Okay? And then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 6. And then chain 1. Make sure not to pull that chain tight because it'll be too hard to go into the eye for our next stitch. So there you can see we have the bottom half of 2 stars. So let's go ahead and work through that again. We're going to go into the eye of the chain of the star, yarn over, pull through. Then we're going to go into the first leg here, yarn over, pull through. Then we're going to go into the base. Sorry, my 4-year-old's right here. Yarn over, pull through. And then we're going to go into the next 2 single crochets. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Then you can see we've got the 6 hooks on here, 6 loops on the hook, sorry. Then we yarn over, pull through. Billy, are you breathing loud on purpose? That's a broken crayon, yeah. And then we're going to yarn over, pull, just a chain loop through. So there you can see we have the first, just coughing. There you can see we have the first bottom half of our first 3 stars. So we're going to repeat that all the way across. So let me do one more with you and then I'll meet you at the other side. So if you're trying to work this up into a smaller or bigger size, like I said before, you're just going to do a starting chain of 2 plus 1 and then a row of the single crochets. So 1 into the eye, 1 into the first leg, 1 into the base, 1 into the next stitch. Oops, both want to make sure we get both loops. 1 into the next stitch and 1 into the stitch after that. And then we've got all 6. You want to make sure to keep your tension nice and loose on this stitch. Pull through all 6, yarn over, and do a chain. So let's go ahead and repeat that, and I will meet you when we have 3 spots left. So I've worked it out where we have 3 spaces left, so let me work through this last star with you. So we go into the eye, into the leg, and into the base. So you're going to have 4 loops on before you start to move on, every time from the body of the previous star. Then we're going to go into the next 2 spaces, yarn over, pull through. We've got 5, yarn over, pull through. Now we have 6. So I've also seen this referred to as the 6 loop star, and this would be why, because we've got 6 loops. So then we're going to yarn over, pull through all 6. Oops. Oh, I almost pulled it out. That was close. And then go ahead and do the last chain. and don't go too tight. And then in the last space here, we're going to do a half double crochet. So half double crochet is yarn over, place through, pull over 1, and pull through 2. So that's going to give us a nice side, and you will have a little bit of a gap there, but it's just part of the pattern. So now that we've ended row 2, I want to make sure that a couple things are happening. We should have 14 stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. The first star takes up 3 spaces. You can see here, 1, 2, and the turning chain, the turning section there for 3. But all of the other stars are going to take up 2. So you can see 2 single crochets underneath there. So that's something that you can glance and check really quickly. And then we have, so each of the stars is going to count as 2 stitches. So 14 times 2 is 28. And then we have the extra because the first one takes 3. And then we have that half double crochet at the end, so we have 30 stitches. Next, we're going to go up and start on row 3. So let's place the yarn in, and then crochet 2 chains, and turn. Okay, now you can see here pretty easily all the eyes of my work. If you're working in acrylic, it might be a little bit harder to see the eyes. So if you want, you can just kind of scoot ahead and make sure that your eyes are easy to find, so that when you go through to do the next row, this row that we're working on row 3, that those eyes will be easy to find. But it is pretty easy on the cotton, but sometimes it's a little bit harder on the acrylic. So if you want to go ahead and do that, that might be a good idea, just to make this row easier for you. So we've got the yarn over, or we've got the 2 chains, and then what we're going to do is we're going to place 2 single crochets into the eye of the star. So that's what's going to give the rest of the legs to the star. So just 2 single crochets into there. And you can see that's going to, because it's coming out from the eye, all those little threads look like it's forming that star. And then we're going to skip these spots, and we're going to go into the next eye, and we're going to crochet 2 into there. So we're going to crochet 2 single crochets into all of the eyes of the stars all the way across. Oops. So this is the easy stitch, or the easy row. We already did the hard row, so congratulations, you got through the hard row. And now we're finishing up the tops to these stars. Oh, sorry, apparently my 6-year-old thinks something's really hilarious. So we're gonna do those 2 single crochets. So that's pretty easy. And as you can see, when you put those single crochets in there, it does make it, the eyes open up a little bit more. So that's what it's gonna look like from both sides. So go ahead and put those 2 single crochets into each eye, and I'll meet you for the last stitch of row 3. So we just finished off the star with our last 2 for our last star, and then I pulled this up. We're gonna go into the last, the top of the turning star here. So I just kind of pulled that up so it would be a little easier to go through. So just pull that out, and we do a single crochet in there. So now we've finished row 3, and now we've finished all of our first row of stars, right? So you can see they're starting to form. And our next row is going to be a repetition of row 2. So the whole rest of the pattern, we're going to be copying row 2, then row 3. So let's go ahead and do the turning star again, because I know that's the most difficult thing. So we're going to want to chain before we turn. So let's chain 2, 1, 2. And we turn. Now we're going to go in to the back loop of the, so we skip the chain on the hook, or we skip the first chain from the hook, and we're going to go into the back loop of that second chain. We're going to go inside out. And then we're going to go to the next loop, and on this one it's a little bit hard to get through, but we don't want to go this way because that's going to make the chain pump out weird. We're going to want to go from the outside in. Oops. So the outside of the chain in. Yarn over, pull through, and that keeps the outside lined up nice. And then we're going to go into that base. Got 4 loops, and then into the next 2 single crochets from the row below. We have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we yarn over and pull through all 2. And then chain and pull through. So that's the turning chain. I'm going to go ahead and do that one more time with you because it is the hardest stitch of the pattern. All right. So we're going to chain 2. I'm just reviewing that turning star for you. Chain 2, turn, and then we're going to work from the inside out, and then we're going to work from the outside in on that second chain. I'm just dipping in and grabbing it with the pointy part of my hook and then rotating my hook to get in there. I'll do that for you one more time. So I'm pulling and wrapping around like that is how I found it easiest. Then yarn over, pull through. Oh, my slack is a little weird. There we go. So we've got 3 on there. Then 4 into the next 2 places. And yarn over, pull through. Got a little bit loose there because of me showing you. Okay, and then the chain. And then I'll show you a regular star one more time. So we're going to go through the eye, through the leg, and then through the base, and then through the next 2. Pull up, 2. Now you can notice I've got quite a bit of slack on these, and I really find that that's essential for this stitch, especially to keep the gauge. So if I were you, I would do these first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows to complete, or 4, and then the next row of single crochets. I would go ahead and do that to completion and then check your gauge and make sure that the size is coming out how you want it to match with the rest of our crocheted squares. Oops, I went too deep there. There we go. So you can see my 6 pull through. I did find that when I checked the gauge after the first row of the first, completion of stars, so after row 3, it was pretty wide. But then once you finish this next row of stars, it might start to come down to the right size. So I recommend completing through row 5 before you go back to check the gauge because it does shrink up a little bit. I have another acrylic sample here to show you. So this is my Caron 1 pound in my coffee color. So you can kind of see what this already has 2 rows of the completed stars and then a half row. So I'm going to go up one more time and show you the change in that. So once you complete your row, remember that you're going to end with a half double crochet. And the reason why we're ending with the half double crochet, Velcro. The reason why we end with that half double crochet is because the stars are pretty tall. So I found that the height is consistent with a half double crochet, not with a double crochet or a single. So we're doing the half double because it's in between. So you yarn over, push through, and then you've got 3, and then you pull through all 3. And that creates the appropriate height. And then we chain 2 for turning. Sorry. And then we're going to go into those. So you remember on the last time I said that sometimes the stars' eyes don't stand out, so you can kind of see that. So don't feel afraid to go ahead and just punch them through with your hook. And that kind of makes it easier, so you don't have to struggle to find the stitches as you go. All right, and then so just remember you do the half double crochet for the turn, and chain 2, and then you go 2 single crochets into the eyes. And this row should be able to go pretty quickly. So just find those eyes. All right. So once you finish complete, so your next step is, you know, keep going. But what I would do is check your gauge at the end of completing 2 rows of stars. So you, at the end of row 2, or 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, another row of single crochets is when I would check my gauge. So I hope you guys are enjoying this star stitch. I found that it's, I really like the results. I feel like I want to use this, like I said, on some sort of basket or maybe a floor mat with the twine. But it looks good with all types of yarns. And it's pretty easy to do once you get the rhythm. It goes quickly. So as I crochet, I'll just talk to you guys. Please go ahead and find me on Instagram or Facebook if you like. I'll put the links there. The Facebook group is really great. We've been sharing results and we've had a lot of new members. So even if you're starting late, don't feel afraid to come and join us. You can post as you go, and there's albums in the Facebook group with everyone completing the squares. So you can see what it looks like with different types of yarn and with different results and how it looks compared to everybody else's squares. And it's been really rewarding for me to see everyone's results, and I'm really happy to have the community of all of us sharing, especially right now we're in the middle of the COVID isolation, so I'm stuck at home with my 3 boys that I love immensely, but it's nice to have the community of everyone sharing their results together. I also have an Instagram that I'll put in the link. You might get some previews from my Instagram. I also have a TikTok, which is a fun platform where I'm posting some fun tutorials and just funny things to go along with. There's also Tumblr and Reddit, where I have accounts too that I've been maintaining and having fun with. I try to be really responsive for you guys, so if you have a question, Instagram and Facebook are the best, but also I'll respond to your comments here on YouTube. If you think that my videos are either going too slow or too fast or just right, please comment down below so that I know what you guys think of the videos and how well you think they're going. And if I need to go slower and spend more time on the stitches, please let me know, because I want to make sure that everybody is able to follow along with us. As far as everything else goes, please stay healthy and safe. And I hope your stashes are plentiful and don't run out of yarn. And I will see you guys soon. I'm going to be, where did it go? I've got some Easter eggs that I'm making because we've got Easter here in 2 weeks. So hopefully I'll be posting a tutorial on these. They're really easy to do. They're just 3 rounds, so they're super easy. I hope to be posting those soon. And also I'm going to be decorating the eggs with some surface crochet. So I will also be making a surface crochet video. I hope you guys all stay safe. I'll see you next time. And if anybody needs me, just tell them she's stitching.